in the tumultuous landscape of recent global events, it's disheartening to witness the escalating tensions around the world. From the intensifying Cold War between Russia and Ukraine to the harrowing suicide, bombing targeting an army convoy in northwest Pakistan near the Afghan border, and the recent attacks by Hamas that have reverberated across the international stage. There's no shortage of strife and conflict. Among these events, one historical conflict continues to cast a long shadow over the Middle East: the Six-Day War of 1967 between Israel and a coalition of Arab states, primarily Egypt, Syria, and Jordan. To fully appreciate the ongoing tensions in the Israel-Arabia conflict, it's essential to delve into the history of the Six-Day War. Before we journey back to that pivotal moment that set the stage, the roots of the Israeli-Arab conflict can be traced back to a time when Jews were scattered across the globe. Identified mainly as businessmen, this ethno-religious group, originating from the ancient Hebrews or Israelites, practiced the traditional religion of Judaism. However, they lacked a homeland of their own until the formation of Israel, which provided a sanctuary for these displaced Jews. Yet, this very act sparked tensions with the Arab world, leading to a divide in global opinion. The stage for this conflict was set against the backdrop of World War I, where Jewish businessmen played a significant role on a global scale, with a presence in Europe and Arab countries. Many Jewish entrepreneurs had established themselves in Germany, acquiring wealth, properties, and influential connection. However, this prosperity did not sit well with Adolf Hitler, the Nazi leader, resulting in the tragic events of the Holocaust, during which millions of Jews lost their lives. The impact of Jewish businessmen during World War I was profound, shaping economic and political landscapes amid the chaos of war. The Holocaust, a period of unspeakable horror during which Hitler systematically murdered millions of Jews, led to a mass exodus of Jewish refugees seeking safety in various countries. Under British authority, many of these refugees found their way to Palestine, which was then an Arab land. The Palestinians extended a welcoming hand, offering a place for these refugees to rebuild their lives. Jerusalem, a city with profound religious significance for Jews, was seen as the birthplace of their faith and the location of their sacred temples. Their religious connection to this city made an irresistible beacon for displaced Jews, and over time they began settling in and around Jerusalem. Despite the majority population being Palestinian, the Jewish presence grew steadily. This marked a pivotal moment in the creation of Israel, a homeland for Jews after the horrors of the Holocaust. In the aftermath of World War I, millions of Jews sought refuge in Palestine, a land that was then fully owned by Palestinians. However, the British, with their presence in the region, had to grapple with the increasing population of Jewish refugees. In 1948, they made a momentous decision to partition Palestine. This decision allocated 55% of the land to Palestinians and 45% to Jews. Yet, this division did not bring an end to the conflict. An additional 80% of the land, including Jerusalem, remained undivided, adding another layer of complexity to the already simmering dispute. In May 1948, Israel declared itself a free nation, the first Jewish state in the world. They chose Jerusalem as their capital due to its profound religious significance. However, Palestine also laid claim to Jerusalem as its capital, particularly emphasizing the sacred Al-Aqsa Mosque located there. This contention led to a protracted conflict between the two nations, prompting the intervention of the United Nations. In 1948, the United Nations decided to separate 80% of Jerusalem from the territories established by the British, placing it under international government. Jerusalem would belong to neither Palestine nor Israel, and the United Nations would oversee all matters concerning this city. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict has a convoluted history. Initially, the land was divided with Palestinians holding 45% and Jews 55%. Later, another 80% was divided, leaving Palestinians with 40-80 and Jews with 44%. However, the conflict did not end there. Battles in 1953, 1967, and 1982 saw Israel consistently emerging victorious, gradually taking more land from the Palestinians. As of today, If we exclude Jerusalem's 8, which remains under United Nations deliberation, Israel occupies approximately 80 of the land, a significant increase from its initial 45. Meanwhile, Palestine, which initially held 48 of the land, is now limited to just 12. This brief history underscores the complexity and volatility of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The ongoing conflict in the Middle East centers on two key areas, Gaza and the West Bank, with Jerusalem aligning more closely with the latter. While most of the current fighting occurs in Gaza, the West Bank maintains a relatively more peaceful atmosphere. Why is this so? The answer lies in the fact that Gaza is controlled by Hamas, a controversial group with backing from Syria and Iran, declared as a terrorist organization by some but seen differently by others. All rockets launched at Israel, whether targeting Tel Aviv or other cities, originate from Gaza. In response to these attacks, Israel retaliates against Gaza, leading to images of falling buildings, launched rockets, and dropped bombs that have become all too familiar. The West Bank, on the other hand, remains relatively untouched by the recent conflicts. However, tensions flared in Jerusalem when access to the Al-Aqsa Mosque was restricted during Ramadan, adding another layer of complexity to the overall situation. The root of the conflict can be traced back to the partition of Palestine, a region that was once entirely Palestinian-owned. Today, the land division looks drastically different, with Israel occupying the lion's share, while Palestine is confined to a fraction of its former territory. This shifting landscape reflects the ongoing struggle for control. Israel's desire to make Jerusalem its capital has also been a point of contention, further amplified by the opening of the U.S. Embassy there. However, Tel Aviv remains the political capital, not Jerusalem. The current conflict primarily involves Israeli forces and Hamas in Gaza, with global opinions divided. Some argue that Israel has the right to defend itself against Hamas attacks, while Arab countries contend that Israel's intentions extend to the Al-Aqsa Mosque and Jerusalem, despite uncontrol. This has raised questions about the presence of Israeli military and police in the region, fueling the current conflict and creating two distinct camps. To understand the complexity of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, it's crucial to explore the history of Israel and its relationships with Arab countries. It's a saga of land disputes, political intricacies, and the relentless pursuit of survival. In 1948, Israel declared itself a free nation, a move met with resistance from Arab nations, setting the stage for a prolonged struggle. Fast forward to 1967, Israel, then 19 years old, was fraught with anxiety over potential attacks from Egypt, Syria, and Jordan, with Russia issuing warnings to Egypt. The tension was palpable, and Egypt faced a difficult choice, whether to engage in hostilities that could threaten Israel's existence or pursue a diplomatic path. This conflict is deeply rooted in a narrative where land and identity have been perpetual sources of strife. The creation of Israel as a Jewish state was hard fought, and this history is a testament to the intricate relationships between Israel and Arab nations. A united, yet divided Arab front emerged against Israel, a high-stakes battle where Israel fought not just for territory, but for its very survival. Arab nations contended that they had been wronged by the British, asserting that the Palestinian land occupied by Israel had been Arab territory for centuries. While they shared a common cause, divisions existed among Arab countries and their strategies. Israel, with a modest population of 7 million, knew that it had to bolster its defenses in the face of a divided but formidable opposition. Their focus shifted towards intelligence, defense systems, and technology, an emphasis that would prove invaluable in their struggle for survival. The division among Arab countries, their unified purpose, and Israel's fight for existence formed a complex tapestry of political and territorial disputes. In 1967, Israel faced an existential battle. Although their army was small, they were determined to prepare themselves for what seemed like an inevitable conflict. With American support, they strengthened their air force and even trained citizens as old as 55 years to join the military ranks. On June 6, Israel launched a surprise attack. Knowing that time was of the essence, their meticulously planned strike almost immediately gained them control of the skies over Egypt, Syria, and Jordan. They decimated nearly 600 to 700 enemy planes and systematically bombed all the air bases, leaving their adversaries caught off guard. This audacious move, initiated earlier than expected, was designed to avoid international pressure and thwart their enemies' preparations. Following their aerial dominance, Israel's ground forces and tanks advanced, engaging in a fierce battle that raged on for 6 days. The Jordanian army initially put up a spirited resistance, but their commander eventually ordered a retreat. Jordan disputes Israel's claim of victory in the Six-Day War, but the world saw a different outcome. After 6 days of intense conflict, the international community intervened, leading to United Nations involvement. Israel emerged victorious in the Six-Day War, an incontrovertible fact. In the aftermath of the Six-Day War, the map of the Middle East underwent a seismic shift. On June 10th, the United Nations stepped in to halt the war. By then, Israel had gained control of significant territories, including Sinai, Pahadi, Gib, Gaza, the West Bank, and Golan Heights. Although some of these territories were later returned, the borders had fundamentally changed. The conflict didn't just impact the Middle East. It also divided nations across the globe, with some siding with the United States and others aligning with Russia. The repercussions of the Six-Day War continue to shape the geopolitical landscape, with the shifting borders continuing to send ripples through the region to this day. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict remains a complex and intricate issue, deeply rooted in history, politics, and the current geopolitical landscape. Understanding this conflict requires delving into the history of Israel and Arab countries, a narrative interwoven with the threads of three major religions: Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. Jerusalem, a city of profound significance to all three faiths, stands as a potential flashpoint in this ongoing struggle. Any conflict over this city could dramatically escalate tensions, leading to global divisions. World powers and the United Nations strive to prevent Jerusalem from becoming a battleground, seeking to avert a potentially catastrophic global schism. Presently, the spotlight of conflict shines brightly on Gaza, controlled by Hamas and serving as a launchpad for rockets aimed at Israel. Israel responds with its own military actions, resulting in images of destruction and suffering. However, the specter of conflict creeping into Jerusalem looms large, and if realized, it could plunge the region into all-out war. This is the intricate and challenging reality of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a story of contested territories, deeply held beliefs, and ongoing struggles for control that continues to shape the destiny of nations.